Hello, my fellow witches, sorcerers, and other magical practitioners. My name is Aiden, and today's video is going to be pretty different. I say about like every other freaking video, but today's video is going to be different. It is going to be talking about my relationship with Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, as a Mexican American witch or magical practitioner, or whatever. Um, so I'll just rip the band-aid off. I have never celebrated Dia de los Muertos. It has never been something that I've done within my generation. My dad's generation was the last generation to celebrate it. I was not introduced to it. I was not familiar with any of the customs. I knew about it. That was about the extent to which I interacted with it. And that's kind of been weird for me. As you know, it's the big traditional, that's the holiday. That is the holiday. That's our holiday. And, being a witch, it's like you're expected to be like super consorty with the dead and like that's your holiday. You gotta celebrate it. It's like, no, I never was able to celebrate it. And it's not that I don't want to celebrate it. That's quite the contrary. I really want to celebrate it. It's something that I really want to connect to. It's something that I want to be around, but I don't even know where to start with it. I don't even know what to do with it, and it's kind of frustrating as a Mexican American person, not being able to celebrate this really big uh, festival essentially that is super important to my heritage, my ancestors. Um, and it's super important to La Santísima Muerte, my saint. Like she's like really honored and venerated on Dia de los Muertos, and I don't have anything to connect that to, and it kind of it's a weird displacement for me, because I always was very intrigued by this holiday. It was something that I always like. I mean, I always loved Halloween, so obviously Dia de los Muertos would be something that I'm also interested in. It would be something that I would want to celebrate, but I just never celebrated it. I talked with my parents about it at one point, like, hey, can we celebrate this? And they're like, yeah, we did it. Like, my dad was like, yeah, we did this when I was growing up, but like, we never carried it on. Like, all his siblings, they didn't carry it on to their families. Like, no one does it anymore. So it's just kind of frustrating because like this is a huge part of culture that's just lost now. And I want to bring it back. It's something that I really want to bring back into my family. It's something I would love to celebrate. Perhaps when I move out, I will be able to start celebrating it, but it's something that is a sticking point for me because it's like I have this generational gap between people who celebrated it, and I have to reconstruct that myself. Um, I don't know how to go about starting that conversation. How, like, where do I go? What do I do? Because it's also a very community based holiday from what I've understood. Like, it's something that's very family based, very community based, and it's not something that is, like a very solitary thing. Um, which sucks because like also another thing for me is that I have been super isolated as um, a Mexican American, which like I have never been able to have a larger community. Like, yeah, there's other witches. Like, when I was trying to connect more with European practices, I had a lot more connections because European witchcraft and European occultism in general is like very prevalent on the internet. I know tons of people. Like, everyone I know pretty much does some form of European magic, and that's cool and all, but it's not something I really connect to anymore. It's something that I'm being drawn away from, and it's frustrating because I don't have that community to lean on. I don't have those spaces to go into, and also because of my heritage, I there's some places just aren't welcoming. That's the flat hard truth. Because I don't look the part for some people. I'm not welcome in those spaces, or I don't feel like my knowledge is valued, my understanding is valued, my perspective is valued. I don't feel like I am seen in some spaces. And it's a frustrating thing because I feel this cultural disconnect essentially. I don't feel as connected to the culture that I am drawn to more, the one that I want to connect to more. Um, I mean, growing up a lot in the American South, it's like, okay, I've seen this all around me and I know about it and it's in my family. So why can't I have access to it? There's so much that I just don't have access to because of the lack of community and because of this cultural disconnect. I have this displacement. I am kind of lost in this world where I am surrounded by European practice and I can't get out of it. I can't go to what I'm connected to. And it's very frustrating because a lot of practices as well that I am drawn to are syncretic. So we kind of syncretize a ton of things together, especially a ton of Southern USA folk magic is very syncretic. We have things from all different types of people. Like even if they go in different places in one state, it's totally different in different places. Um, and so it's just kind of frustrating because I don't get to share that with a lot of European practitioners who are very like, my practice comes from this one place across the sea. I can't connect to that because it's like, okay, my practice comes from right here on the ground where I stand. And also just, like I say all the time, I don't connect with runes because I don't connect with them. I don't connect with that European practice. It's just something I don't connect with. Don't connect with Norse stuff at all, period. Like, I don't know, Norse mythology is cool, but it's not for me. It's not, that religion, that spirit is not for me. It's not something that I'm drawn to. And there's like a ton of other things. I'll probably be talking about this in another video, but it's like I may be drawn to something, but it's not something I'm connected to. And um, Mexican spirituality, Mexican folk magic, and Southern USA folk magic is something I really connect to a lot more than anything else. It feels the most real for me. It's the most real, tangible system that I've ever worked in. Like, I don't know, the high mystical stuff is just not cutting it anymore. It's not fun to do. It's just kind of long invocations where I'm like, behold, thou art the Holy One of God. Be there and be here within this space. I invoke thee and stuff like that. It's like, I don't vibe with that. It's like, nah. I want to be able to speak however I speak. I want to be able to speak how I normally talk to my ancestors, to my saints, to the other local spirits around me. I want to be able to talk with them like that instead of having to have the whole long invocation with the fancy words and the these and thous and theys, you know? It's just frustrating having this disconnect. And to tie it back into Dia de los Muertos, I, again, do not have that connection to be able to do things. It's like I want to do it so badly. Like it's in my soul, like in my very soul. I can feel it. I can feel wanting to incorporate this into my life, my traditions, my practices, but I cannot do it because I feel disconnected from it. Like there's a generational disconnect, and I want to mend that connection, but I don't even know where to begin. So this is kind of just me rambling about it at this point, just being like, here is this real struggle that I have. Here is this real struggle. I'm a real person. I have these real struggles. And it's difficult having the cultural disconnect on a very culturally significant holiday. And another frustrating thing is that I see all these people, all these people around me who are like, they, I don't use this term lightly, but they do genuinely appropriate the culture. They take from my culture, and then they have no connection to it. Like, it's not something like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you have X amount of blood, or you need to be like 100% Mexican to do Dia de Muertos. That's not true. That's not true at all. Adoption is also completely valid. I'm not gonna get into that here. But people who have no connection to it at all are just like, oh, haha, pretty sexy skeleton ladies. It just frustrates me because it's like, I'm trying to have a genuine connection to my culture. I'm trying to really feel a connection to this culture that I have been long separated from, because all the British stuff was just kind of shoved down my throat, and it's just not cutting it anymore. It's like, okay, this isn't me. This isn't who I am. This isn't a part. It's a part of my identity, yes, but it's not. It's not something that works for me. I'm not connected to a lot of the European traditions that I'd normally be connected to, but my Mexican ancestors, my Mexican traditions, the ones that I am tied to through that are so much stronger for me. Like, they're just so much more tangible for me. And just seeing people who have no connection to that, who have no real emotional investment in that, who just do it for the aesthetic. Well, that's such an overused term, but it's really true. People just like the aesthetic of Dia de los Muertos, who like the feel of it, who like all the cute little sugar skulls, the little skeletons and stuff. It's like, yes, it's nice, but it's. I guess what I'm trying to say is, feeling this disconnect has really affected who I am as a person in my practice, and wanting to reconnect is something that's hugely important to me. And I want the family aspect of it that I can't really have, and I want the community aspect. That's something that I long for, and I hope that this is something that a lot of other people can relate to. That I hope this is something that people like me struggle with. Like, not it's like I don't want anyone to struggle with this, but it's like, I want to be a connecting point for people. I want to be a place, a person, whatever, where people can come and be like, yeah, I have this struggle too. I deal with this all the time. I also understand this, and I want to figure myself out because this is a huge part of my identity. And I want to be able to connect with people that way, and I want to have that community aspect so all of us displaced people, all of us disconnected people, we can all say, yeah, we're together. We all have a place here. We all deserve a place here because we're all. This is our culture. This is our heritage. This is who we are. We can claim that. This is a part of our identity. Um, this is what we know. This is what we know is right for us. And I'm not gonna say like every person who is Mexican American will connect to Mexican American folk practices or those traditions, but for us that do and want to connect more, it's a struggle when our families, like our very families, don't have that connection anymore. We don't have that alive, and just wanting to keep tradition alive is super important because traditions matter so much. Keeping a culture alive is so important because when a culture dies, it's gone. That whole tradition's gone. It's just gone, and it takes away from the experience that could have been. It takes so much away, and culture is so important to so many people. Like, I don't know how to put it into words. It's just so important to people, and trivializing it is terrible to see. And it's frustrating to see as well because so many people trivialize Mexican culture, and like Latin American culture in general is like so trivialized. We're kind of a joke to a lot of people. I've seen that so much. Like, we're just a joke to some people. And it's just so frustrating. I can't break down all the stereotypes I've heard growing up, all the things that I've seen, like in the media and just the world around me, like even from like my own family members who aren't Mexican, they just say so much things that are just so frustrating to see. And it's like, this is not who I am. You're not understanding who I am. And so having to navigate that is difficult. And that's my relationship with my culture, my relationship with this Day of the Dead. And I guess in a way, my prayer and hope for today is that a part of me dies and that I'm able to be reborn stronger than ever. I hope to be able to die to the old ways, the old self, and to be reborn as a new self, to be able to be confident and know my culture, to know who I am deep down inside, and to connect with that on such a more tangible level. So yeah, this video has been extremely personal, and I hope this is helpful for y'all. A lot of my videos have been personal recently because I want to connect with y'all personally. I think having a real personal connection, a real person who talks about real practices, who talks about real stuff within spirituality, I think that's way more important than someone just talking about an abstract practice, talking about mysticism, and that's not who I want to be. I want to be someone who talks about the real deal. Like, I want to talk philosophy, I want to talk mysticism, but I also want to talk the real deal. Like, what's like to experience this, because everything about spirituality, about witchcraft, about magic is so intertwined with every part of my identity, with everything that I am. Like, everything about Aiden is so interwoven with my magical practice. It's inseparable. Like, my identity is inseparable from my practice. And I've had to realize that. I have to realize that who I am, my identity, and everything makes my practice my practice. I think that's super important for a lot of people to realize, is that who you are, where you came from, your life experiences, and everything makes you who you are. And your practice is a reflection of that. Your practice reflects that heavily. Your practice reflects what you have inside. Because magic is, yes, it's physical, yes, it's environmental, yes, it's psychological, but it's also on a soul level. The soul is very important. You can't take the soul and the spirit out of spirituality, and I can do a whole video on that. But those four components all work in tandem. The soul is super important. They're all important. None is subservient to the other. They all work in tandem. A lot of people sometimes forget the soul, because the soul is who you are. I mean, we talk about selling our souls all the time. It's like, kids will always be like, I want to sell my soul to the devil. It's like, that doesn't work, because you can't sell your soul, because your soul is you. That you can't do that. You literally can't. It doesn't make sense. I can probably talk about that. I have so much to talk about. It's supposed to be about Dia de los Muertos and my disconnection, but whatever. So I should probably wrap it up here. Again, if you feel a relation to this, leave it in the comments below. If you feel, in general, like you're disconnected from your heritage, from your culture, from who you are, like who you want to be, what you feel is right for you, comment down below, because I know a lot of people feel that disconnection as well. Outside of the Mexican American communities, outside the Latina communities, we all in some way might feel some disconnection from our cultures, and we might be trying to force ourselves into a cultural connection that we don't feel right about. Like, we might be trying to force ourselves into something, like what I was doing. I was trying to be a British practitioner. It's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna be doing British practices. That didn't work out. It just didn't work out for me. It's just not what's for me. And yeah. So, ramble out the way, personal stuff on the table. Thank you all for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. All 132 of you at this time who are subscribed. I really appreciate you all, and I thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.